We're in Tel Aviv with Chaim Keller, and Chaim is now 87, and I asked Chaim if he would be kind enough to tell us a little bit about himself and about his past.
Okay. Telling about my past, it's many years ago. But I'll speak shortly about the subject. Actually, the first sin that I can recollect is being the age of 5.5 years, when my mother took me somewhere in our town, Berezne, and there I met my aunt, Bella.
So you were born in a town called Berezne.
Berezne, which is about 50 kilometers from Rovno. It's a community of a few thousand Jewish people, a nice community. With a rabbi and nice people living in peace with the neighbors at that time. And then I met my aunt Bella, and my mother told me that she's giving me away for a while. Bella will take me somewhere. And the last words she said was, "We'll meet shortly." And this was actually the last time that I saw my mother.
What was your mother's name?
My mother's name was Bella Hughes.
No, your mother.
Sorry, my mother's name was Rosa Hughes.
Hughes, Y-U-Z.
Y-U-Z, you're right.
And her sister's name was Bella Hughes.
Yes.
And what year was this when you last saw your mother?
This was the last time I saw her. I was 5.5 years.
5.5 years old. What year was that?
It was 1942.
42. And by this time, what was happening in your town?
The Jews was already in the ghetto. We were already in the ghetto.
Berezne had a ghetto?
Yeah, Berezne had the ghetto. And most of the Jews were concentrated for a year already, or close to a year in the ghetto, because the Germans came to Berezne after the Barbarossa, even, you know.
Yes. And what do you know about your father?
My father, Joel Gilberg, he worked in the electric company in Berezne, and he was the head of the Jewish community over there. And what I heard later on, that he refused to run away and leave the community, a Jewish community, and stayed with them, with my mother, and they were all killed. How do you say? They were digging a big hole, bore.
A ditch.
Yes. A big ditch, brought all the Jews, including my mother and my father, and they were murdered by the Germans. And from that point, Bella and I were running away, escaping. So I make it very short. The first station was a nice Jewish Ukrainian family that Bella knew by taking care of her at the hospital. Bella was a nurse, and they agreed to keep us for 2 months. After 2 months, we had to leave because it was dangerous for them. We wandered a whole night in the forests, and the next morning, Bella knocked on a few doors in one of the villages. One family refused it and even aimed at us to go and tell the police. Then I find another family that agreed to keep us for 2 months. And it became a little bit dangerous for them, and they asked us to leave. And at that time we met someone from our village, from our town, by the name Pinchas Keller, actually called Pinchas. And we stayed with him, wandering in all kind of villages, meeting Jews from the shtetl, hiding in forests, and then when the war ended in May. This day I remember I came back from school, and suddenly I heard a lot of shouting, screaming, and shooting, and this was actually a joy. People were very happy because they said the war came to end. From there we wandered to the camps where all the Jews were concentrated.
Who liberated this area?
The American. I think so, no, maybe it was Russian. Maybe
No,
it
the
was
American. American took you to the...
No, it was Russian, and from there we traveled to the American zone, and we stayed in 2 camps. One was Hess-Lichtenau, near Kassel, and the other one, the last one, before we emigrated to Israel, was Neu-Ulm.
And you were with Bella the whole
I
time?
was with Bella and Pina all the time.
And Pina.
But then you have to say that they adopted you.
And yeah, before we left,
No,
uh,
they adopted you.
before we left to Israel, we went through a certain procedure of adopting me, and when we came to Haifa on May 8th,
1949.
and registered as a new Olim Hadashim, we already were with the family Keller.
How are you related to my father, George?
As far as I recall, I know, Bella was George's first cousin. And
So your mother was George's first
and
cousin.
my mother was as well. And Bella, in '64, I think it was, took a trip to the United States and stayed with George for, I don't remember, a week or 2 or something like that.
She was staying with George.
George,
really?
yes. She went to Boston later also, but
And then she started to feel not
she started, actually we had no idea, but apparently it seems like when she took the trip, she had already cancer. She came back, she was already in a very bad situation, and after a week she passed away.
She was 52.
54.
How do you know this beautiful woman who's talking? How do you know her?
You probably are talking about my wife.
I am talking about your wife, yeah.
Yes. I'll tell you how. I was.
I'm old. Don't take pictures of me because I'm very old.
David, I was a professional bachelor.
Really?
Yeah, having good time in Tel Aviv, in Jerusalem as a student, and developing the subject in Tel Aviv. And the last thing I had on my mind was to get married. But you know, what is destiny? One day a friend asked me to to take two girls to a party. One of them was Ora. And we were flirting, it was nice. She's at that time in the course of a flight attendant in El Al. And then she started to fly all over the world. And I was planning already to go to New York to study. Meanwhile, we had this 67-year war.
1967, the
Yes.
Six-Day War.
Yeah, and I took part in this war. And she was flying around still. Then we came back, and I packed my things and went to New York. And she followed me every second week with El Al and came to visit me. And one day she became tired of flying. She said, how about getting married? And I was very busy. I worked and I studied. I said, okay. And that it was then to my...
And you have to add that Hagay was born in New York.
yes,
We'll interview him momentarily.
yeah.
So you ended up as a shaliach, yes?
So this was the first time I was in New York. Then
So-
I came...
Talk about this for a little bit.
Yeah, I started in New York and started at the New School of Social Research. And I got the degree, my master degree in political science. And in 1970, I came back to Israel. And I worked in certain companies and was in the, had my business in public relations. And in 74, end of 73, I was approached by the Jewish National Fund, and they offered me to be an emissary in Philadelphia on behalf of the Jewish National Fund and covering New Jersey as well. And I gladly accepted it. And Ora, I had already two children at that time. We traveled to Philadelphia.
Where did you live in Philadelphia?
Philadelphia, I lived on Conshohocken Avenue,
Near the Schuylkill River.
near the Schuylkill River.
I'm not allowed to put you on the camera.
No.
So you lived on Conshohocken Avenue?
Yes.
And how long were you in Philly?
2.5 years.
No, 3 years, 2.5 years, 2.5 years. Actually, we left
By the way, the building was called River House.
River Park.
Nice, that's nice.
Anyway, we left actually after celebrating the 200 years
Bicentennial.
bicentennial.
Yeah.
Yes,
We saw
we left to Tel Aviv.
Okay. And your name is
Hagay.
Hagay.
Yes.
My
Hagay?
Hagay is my holidays.
You're not in the film. Hagay was born in New York, yes?
Yes.
Can you tell us what you remember from your time in Philadelphia?
Not much. I was, 6, 7 years old.
Yeah?
I have a few memories.
Adat Israel. You
Yeah,
know
I learned. I remember the school. It was Solomon Schechter and Adat Israel.
Solomon Schechter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, just a small kid's memory. Few
Yeah.
small.
Were you a Phillies fan?
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
And you have a sister, yes?
I have a sister, Marav. Yeah, she was born here in Israel.
Where do you live now?
I live in Tel Aviv.
Okay.
5 minutes from here.
Okay. And your work was with a company called Agrexco.
Yeah.
Can you talk about this?
Yes, I worked with Agrexco, sorry, for 26 years. I started as the secretary of the company and spokesman, and then changed the job, which was the director of public relations and communications, which I covered all the aspects of public relations, connections with the press, with the communication abroad and here. Agrexco was a very successful company exporting agricultural fresh produce. We had branches all over Europe and the United States.
In Philly too?
Not in Philly, no.
Were you already with Agrexco when you were emissary? No.
No.
First you were an emissary. Where was your office in Philly?
In Philly on
Walnut Street.
Chestnut Street, I think it was. Chestnut, no?
No, they have Walnut Street.
And which one?
Walnut Street.
Walnut?
כן? רק אני באתי למשרד שלך כמה פעמים.
Maybe Walnut Street.
Do you remember anybody from Philadelphia?
Well, I remember.
Look, the problem, don't take the camera. The problem with the Israelis, they are like a community. The moment you come to Philadelphia, you are looking for Israelis.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's a problem.
No, but
That's
practically
the
no. I want to mention it that Sam Cohen was one of the leaders at this time.
Butch, איך קראו לו?
No, Butch, I don't remember his family name. You know what? I didn't expect the question, otherwise I would think and find some people, but I was welcomed very warmly by the local community.
You have good memories of Philadelphia?
By the way, the president of the time of Philadelphia was Tabus.
Tabus, yeah.
Yeah.
איך קראו למנהל שלך?
Jack Friedman
Jack
was the
Friedman.
manager.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
don't mention it.
Did you stay in touch with any of these people?
I beg your pardon?
Did you stay in touch with any of them?
Unfortunately, no. I
Okay.
came back and no,
Okay. Can we talk about the current political situation in Israel?
no.
Okay. Okay. You said that you
Yeah,
decided.
I suggest if you wish to do some nice, interesting thing, you speak to my son. He will,
Yeah.
He will be very
That's fine.
eloquent.
Through to me.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. So, you said that you remember visiting with my family in Wilmington.
Yeah.
What do
And
you
later
remember?
on,
What do you remember?
I remember that we had a
I
reception.
found here, David,
Right,
I found here some people, maybe that's the only people.
Okay, we'll take a look at it.
Okay.
What do you remember from?
No, first of all,
Philadelphia.
we don't forget that I arrived to Philadelphia immediately after the Yom Kippur War.
1972,
74.
74.
74, I
Yeah,
came in April, May 74, I was already in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And I remember they had a reception and people were connected with it from the Delaware and New Jersey and no, not Jersey, no, but Delaware came to this reception, and there I think I met Aileen, your mother, and afterwards we had a few trips to your home in Delaware, and your parents came one evening to us. We had dinner with some other people, so we were quite in close relations with your family in Delaware.
What do you remember about my parents?
I don't remember too much because I knew that George worked in DuPont for many years. I knew some stories from your mother at the time that we discussed, but that's it.
Okay.
We were talking about it, that she was very impressive woman. Remember?
Oh, Aileen?
Eileen, yeah?
Yes,
We used to
I
talk
know,
about
I
it.
know.
You said that you deliberately avoided talking about your childhood with your children, right?
With my children and other people, because
Yes.
I thought that my childhood is my childhood. It's very private. As I told you before, I am a graduate of the Holocaust, first generation of Holocaust. I didn't wish my children to carry this burden on themselves, and therefore I didn't discuss it. Not that I was silent, we were mentioning, but it was not an agenda which was discussed at home. And another thing important to mention it, because Bella, who stayed with me, who I stayed with her for years, was a very warm person, a lot of love and warmth, and I don't think that I carry any traumas of the Holocaust time.
Do you think that she did?
Of course.
She should. Of course she should. Because she had her own story, tragedy in a way. She was married before we came to Israel with her husband who ran away to Argentina. And when we came back to Israel, she considered for a while to go and meet him in Argentina. And finally she stayed and didn't do it. She said, after so many years, maybe I changed. I'm afraid of the meeting with him. And that was the end of it.
You lived, before you moved to Tel Aviv, you lived in two other places, yeah?
I was raised in a way in Holod, but after the army I moved to Jerusalem for 4 or 5 years, studying and working, and then I moved back to Tel Aviv, not to Holod. I moved to Tel Aviv, I stayed in Tel Aviv, and then to New York to study. And since then we moved all over.
And you said that you feel some concern about the situation here now.
Yes, I am. I'm deeply concerned because we are in a situation of threat, and the division in Israel is not only, it's a deep division.
We have 2 grandchildren in the army.
Yeah,
That's also an important issue.
like all of us were in the army, but I am certainly concerned about the future of our state. By the way, which doesn't matter, Hagay has a son who is would you say it in English?
Naval officer.
Naval officer.
All right, I'll talk to Hagay for a minute about it.
Yeah.
Your son is
Perfect.
a naval officer.
My son, yeah. His grandson, yeah. I have 2 sons in the Navy. One of them is a naval officer on a missiles ship, captain. And the other one is an instructor in a naval academy or professional school.
First steps.
Yeah. First steps, yeah, he just joined the army in November. Yeah. Luckily, they're not in the Gaza Strip, so at least from that sense, we're quiet.
And how do you feel about this situation right now?
Situation is tough for all of us. After a period of multiple elections and a great division and an Israeli society between the right and left wing and issues of fighting to protect democracy with that, this September, October surprise that we have. So looking at the situation right now when we are divided, concerned about future demographics in Israel, with a growing population of Orthodox religious people that do not serve in the army, that don't contribute to our economy, with the external threats of what's surrounding us. You need to be a very, very, very optimistic person to believe that things will be okay here. But we're still here. I mean, we don't see I don't know what will be with my kids, but definitely this generation and myself and most of my friends are still here and still fighting for a change.
Hagay Keller,
Yeah.
Ben Kamata,
I'm 55.
55 years old. Can I talk to you? Okay. So, well, your mother was not hiding in the woods.
No.
Your mother was born
Born and raised in
and
Israel.
raised in Israel.
Yeah.
And just please tell us, I have my wife Rondi in this image also, so it's not just you. And tell us about yourself and your whatever you want to say.
First of all, I'm a mother. That's my big pride in my life. That's it. And then I'm a grandmother. And then I used to work a couple of years as a public relation women. And then I don't consider myself a journalist, but I wrote for 3 years at Yediot Achronot. You know the...
Yediot Achronot, yes, the
Yes.
newspaper, yeah.
Yes. And when my first grandchild was born, I decided that I'm going to stay home. And then, because we live near the university, I started to go to some courses in the university, history, movie, cinema, culture. And life is full with friends. And he's even telling us that consider our age, we have a lot of friends, and we have, איך אומרים, חיים חברתיים.
Social life.
Social life.
Active
Social life.
Yeah.
And we live here for 34 years there.
Not here,
Yes, yes.
in this house.
No, not in this house.
טוב, בסביבה, רחוב
No, in
היד.
this
רחוב
area.
In
היד.
this area, yeah.
Actually, we moved from Ra'anana. We lived in Ra'anana a few years. We moved in 1992
1992.
Back to Tel Aviv.
back to Tel Aviv.
But I want to tell you something, if I can, but don't take pictures. I just want to tell you. I want to tell you a story about my grandfather. He was born in Vizhnitz, and then during the Second World War, they were sent to Transnistria. Have you heard about Transnistria?
Okay, Transnistria.
Transnistria. And then at 49,
What is it?
Transnistria.
Oh, yes.
and then at 49, my father knew that he has to come to Israel.
Okay.
And Israel was very small. And my father used to work from the kibbutz in the Nemal Haifa.
Yeah.
And then he walked on the street and he said, I think this man could be my father. He didn't see him for 20 years or something. Because he was 12 when he left home, and he was 26 or 27 when this occurred. And then he approached this man and he asked him, maybe you are Dov Haidt? And he said, yes. And so he told him, I'm your son.
Wow.
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 He was
Wow.
Dov Haidt.
דוב, אמר לסבא,
Maybe you are Dov Haidt.
maybe you are דוב הייט, והוא אמר לו, yes.
So, even though you told me don't take this film, I'm very happy I didn't listen to you because that's a very, very profound story.
אתה מכיר את
אתה רוצה לדבר עוד משהו? לספר עוד משהו?
I spoke too much today.
Okay, there's also a video at Yad Vashem.
Yes.
They interviewed you how long ago?
It was, I will tell you exactly, it was 207, 2007.
2007. Okay. תודה רבה to my cousin,
Yeah, he's your cousin.
Chaim Keller. Chaim Keller.
Chaim Keller.
And תודה רבה. Thank you very much to Ora Keller,
Yeah.
formerly stewardess on El Al.
No, look, we are married already for 56 years.
And תודה רבה, Hagay Keller.
I decided.
What's your work now?
Next time, if
מה אתה
you-
עושה?
Managing a startup
It-
in the renewable energy field.
Very nice, very nice, very nice. And thank you for inviting us into your lovely home.
Just to remind that you're missing a beloved daughter by the name Rav, who is
Yeah.
married and has a daughter also, and she's not with us now.
Where does she live?
Not
Yeah.
far away.
Not too far.
Not far.
You can see it from the window.
I'd like to thank Rhonda Goldfein, the Executive Director of the AIDS Law Project of Pennsylvania. תודה רבה.
And by the way, which is not so important to record it, but I am very happy because it's not, it doesn't go without saying, to live here, and my son and family are 5 minutes from here, and my daughter is also 5 minutes
Yeah,
from
it's
here.
beautiful, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
That's only in Israel.
Yeah, it's only in Israel. You can't do it Philadelphia and Wilmington
זה
to be
באמת,
close.
תודה רבה.